Hello, hello. And I hope all is well with everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you again and again and again for being here. I hope you can see my screen really good and everything. Let me know if you can't. But we're going to get started here. I am Cheryl Sally, and welcome to Legacy Leaders Business Development Institute, your place for on demand courses all about starting and growing your business, the things you need to do, how do you need to position yourself, whether you're for profit or nonprofit, so on and so forth. We're trying to onboard as much information and courses as we can just to help you get started. Like I said, I'm Cheryl Sally. I am the founder. This has been probably close to a 20-year or more dream of mine since I have been working 38 years with small and minority businesses throughout the Southeast, seeing what the needs are and the best ways to serve those needs, just really knowing what the needs are or seeing what the needs are. And I have obviously witnessed a lot in 38 years of helping businesses and with really wanting to have a school, some type of school, not like a regular traditional school, but some type of learning centers. We have centers, we sure, because I work for Small Business Development Center, which is funded by the federal government. I work with the Minority Business Development Agency, which is also funded by the federal government. One is funded by U.S. Department of Commerce, and one is funded by the small business and partially funded by the Small Business Administration. But in addition to that, I always thought that there should be some type of training school, even though those entities and as I work for them, the training and the information education has evolved so much, so great over the years, and I'll talk about them as well. Because the services are at no cost. Some of the services they provide are the training, the one-on-one is at no cost. And I don't want to talk about it too much, but anyway, the Small Business Development Center, that is, there's minimal costs, for other agencies that provide counseling service to small and minority business owners. But I'm a serial entrepreneur. So in addition to consulting businesses for 38 years, I've also owned several businesses. I own a mini donut dessert truck right now, and I'm gonna be sharing pictures and information about that along the way, because this course is all about food trucks, how to start a food truck business. But I've owned the food truck now. I've owned the commercial and residential cleaning and janitorial company, ground maintenance company, did government contracting with that, as well as I said medical transcription company, the ground maintenance and janitorial maid service. I did have a dessert store in one of our local malls here, and provided other con- contracting services to the government, provided administrative support services. I worked with a CPA for about 9 years, providing bookkeeping and payroll and accounting services to small businesses. So I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, and I can trace back, the hiccups and the failures of business owners, the mistakes that we make as business owners. I can trace that back to a couple of things, several things. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little later on. But helped a lot of businesses, 3 to 5,000 businesses, 80,000 hours, so on and so forth. But it's not about me today. My goal is to give all I know back. I believe and this is my belief personally, that when you learn something, when you master something, when you do something, there's always somebody else that wants to know probably that same thing. So I believe that our purpose here on earth is a couple of things, but one of those things is to share what we know. And the more you give, the more you get, the more you let go, the more you grow. So enough about me. I'm gonna be talking here on and off about my journey and but I want to focus on why we're here today. And this is just some of the things that we're going to touch on as it relates to starting your business, particularly starting the food truck business. Now, I will tell you that any entity, any business, small, large, for profit, nonprofit, church, civic, government, all businesses have a general infrastructure that every business need to have. That infrastructure, those business systems, and all of that. So I'm gonna share those foundational things that you have to have, even though that you have to know about, right? You have to have the knowledge about them, how they look, how they're supposed to operate, how you're supposed to evaluate them and make the changes. So you should know that whether it's time for you to do it now or not. Just educate. Self-education is the biggest investment you can do. Your own research, your own education about business management, because you have a skill. You have a skill, you have a passion, you have a gift, so on and so forth, or you have an idea. But that may be what you know. You're very good at what you do, but you're not keen on business management and the infrastructure of business. So it's easy to learn because, well, I won't say most of it's common sense. I've just been doing it a long time, but some of it is. But your thing is to learn what the infrastructure is supposed to look like, what the system's supposed to look like. So I am sharing as much as I can through my courses. Now, this will cover some of the superficial stuff, but the other courses will take a deeper dive into these areas like financial planning and financial projecting. I'm doing a course just on how to develop your budget and project for the next 3 years. But this, I want to talk about the checklist. Do a checklist. It's going to help you be organized on the things that you need to do now, things that you need, just everything you need to do. It helps to remember, it helps to organize, bring clarity to it. And just like any other list, you go shopping, right? Because you want to make sure you don't miss the essential things. You want to make sure you get the important items that in order for you to make a meal, you have to have one, two, three, four, five. You can't leave the sugar or the flour out. So you need to make sure, so that list is going to help you cover some of the major pieces. Some of the other things, and there's always learning, right? As long as I've been doing what I've been doing, and even with I've had my mini donut truck for 2 years now, and I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning and perfecting and evolving and all of that, pivoting and making changes. That's just the nature of business. Business evolves. Just like I always use the analogy of the baby or the bride, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but from the minute that the baby is conceived, it's all about thinking, what am I going to do to take care of this baby? What am I going to name this baby? How am I going to, dress this baby? And the baby, from the embryonic stage in the womb, is going through stages. Once the baby is born, it's a newborn, up until it becomes a toddler, starts crawling, it becomes a toddler, and so on and so forth through the life of it's always changing, it's always evolving, but you have to make sure that you learn all, and the business is just like that, but you have to make sure you learn about the projected or the upcoming phases of that business, just like a baby. What do you need to feed that business, right? Well, just like the baby, so it'll be healthy, not just so it will exist, but it will be a healthy baby. It will be, your business is your baby, right? So it's going to be a healthy baby. It's going to be and you want to give it all of the proper nutrients. Just like us, we want to eat right? So that we can be healthy, and exercise so we can be healthy. So you need to know, and oftentimes we know what to do. Yeah, I know what to do, but do I follow all of that all the time? I don't. And so when things happen, usually it's because you did not follow what you already knew you were supposed to be following and doing. But the checklist will help you stay focused, stay organized as to the things you need to learn. Whatever you come when you're going over these courses, when you're writing your plan, and if you say, what does this mean? Or what would I be saying in this paragraph about my business? And if you don't have that answer, that's your cue to go dig deeper and research more. So this is just that checklist, it starts those things, some of the things we're going to cover as we go along. Okay, you have an idea. Excuse me, you have an idea to do business and do particularly a food truck business or a food service business or a restaurant. I would, and you may usually, now me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I didn't necessarily have a passion for baking or cooking. But what I like, my passion is to develop, right? Just I'm a visionary. And I know that you develop things and you do, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you create products and you create services sometimes that aren't here yet. That's why we have so many inventions and we're using so many things now, because somebody saw a need for something that was not created yet. So as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, but even as a business owner, you want to see how I have this idea. Let me research this idea. Number one, see if it's already here. Number two, if it's not, then how can I create it? And if it's number three, if it is already here, then what can I do to do something different, right? So you want to research the marketplace. You're going food trucks, you know, there a lot of food trucks. I mean, they're coming online more and more every day. I don't have the stats for it right now, but though that's some of the things you're going to research in your area. How many food trucks do we have, and if we have a lot, okay, what am I going to do differently? Because you have a lot of food trucks that may do barbecue, right? So what am I going to do differently with my barbecue? Can the marketplace, particularly the place where I'm looking to have my food truck, can it bear another food truck that does barbecue? Maybe, maybe not. And those are the things you want to see. Conduct that market research to validate your idea, um, and so on and so forth. If the market, let's say, for instance, around your area that you plan on servicing, there are 50 food trucks in your state or more, maybe hundreds in your state or your city or whatever. What are you and it's barbecue, and your specialty is barbecue. You know you do the best barbecue that you've ever tasted. You have the sauce, the best sauce. It's not out here. Then and that may be the niche, is that I have barbecue sauce that makes my barbecue taste better than any barbecue on the market. How do you build a brand around, because it's not really it is the barbecue sauce makes up the whole barbecue meal, but the meat is kind of the same. It's the seasoning and all of that. But you now that there remember there are 20 other barbecue trucks out here, so you have to stand out. You have to stand out. Your standout is going to be determined by your marketing. We'll get into that, but this is just a development in thinking about the idea. The other thing is, if you're all, let's say you're already credentialed, and I mean just you certified, serve safe, and you have your chef degree and culinary arts degree and so on and so forth, all those certifications. Now you know how to enhance products, right? Because I just have a mini donut truck, and I'm gonna add more things. It's evolving. I'm gonna share that with you. So mini donuts, all it is all mini donuts right now. And I do sell a few other things, but my point being is I add all kind of toppings. I have cinnamon sugar, powdered sugar, salted caramel, peanut butter and jelly, strawberries. I started out with peaches and banana pudding. So I thought about different types of desserts, and I'm like, I can add all of these toppings to just that regular mini donut. And I give them a big menu, and I'm gonna show you that. I'm jumping too fast. I'm gonna show you that in a few minutes. The other thing is to evaluate your skill sets and your interests and your experiences, because those will transfer obviously to the truck. You're skilled at what you do. You're skilled at making this food. You're talented. You're gifted, but you may not be skilled at managing a business. So now you got to see what part of business management do you know and what part you know so that you can begin to research that and gain those skills so that you'll be a complete business owner, that not that you're going to be doing all the information, but you will definitely know what you're supposed to do. This is my beginning. I started out once I excuse me, I had a vision, right? I had a vision. I started coming up with the ideas that I wanted to do for the mini donuts. I looked at some other actual mini donut companies. I didn't find hardly any in South Carolina, which is where I am. Maybe one or two, but they wasn't in the local area. The only time I knew that we had really mini donuts is out at our flea market and at the state fair once a year. So I'm like, that is a good product because we don't have hardly any. But there were some like in Georgia, North Carolina, other parts of the country, and actually the distributor for the mini donuts was on the West Coast, Midwest. Sorry, but so after I got my things that I wanted, my menu, my branding, and I'm going into that. This was the trailer. That was the trailer that I bought. Went to Georgia and got it, from South Carolina. That was how it looked when I got it. There was actually a couple, a retired gentleman on Facebook Marketplace who were selling them, and he was pumping them out like one a week almost. But like I said, I had the vision. So you need to create your plan, right? Create your plan, at least do the outline. Here again, just is that's the part of the checklist. The myth is that I'm not going for money. I'm not going for a loan, so I don't need a plan. You do need a plan. The plan is for you. The plan is to keep you organized. The plan is you write the vision, make it plain so that you can keep yourself accountable to what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing, and some of the how you're supposed to be doing it, but definitely keeping you organized as to what you project that you're going to do with this business, with this food truck, with this restaurant, with this catering business. What do you project you want to do? Write your vision down. Describe who you are as a business. Do your market analysis so that you'll know the marketplace better than anybody else. You'll know every food truck locally, in your area that you're serving. You gotta know who your competitors are. Analyze the marketplace. See what's going on in the marketplace. That's your market analysis. Then how are you going to organize? How are you going to manage the business? So you have to write all of that out so that it sticks here. Number one, you know where you're going, you know how you're going to get there. Number two, it keeps you reminded so you can implement the plan. This is still some more of the plan. What are your services you're going to be providing? What are the products you're going to be providing? How are you? The big elephant, one of the big elephants in the room is the marketing. What's going to be your marketing and sales strategy? Everything from excuse me, and I'm gonna get into market. I'm trying not to jump ahead of myself. But marketing it's three major prongs to marketing, and you need to know them, and you need to be, and excuse me for my voice, but I'm a singer. I love to sing, and I've been rehearsing all day uh, before deciding to go ahead and get this online because you have been my customers have been asking for it. My clients have been asking for it. So I want to go ahead and get it done. But marketing is made up of sales, advertising, and public relations. And you have to have a strategy for doing all of that. Funding, how much do you need? You got to make a checklist for all the budgetary things, your budget, everything you need, and then project out. If this happens, then this will happen. If I have this many customers paying this, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but plan out from a money standpoint, financial projection standpoint, what do you need to, number one, pay your bills, number two, pay your bills, make a profit, and invest back into the company. All right. And some other things. These are the types of business structures, whether you'll be a sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability company, corporation, nonprofit is in there, but with the truck, unless you're providing free meals, if you're food service, usually you don't see a whole lot of nonprofit food services. If you're planning on being a mobile nonprofit and you're providing free meals, and listen, the for profits, I we always have give back, and we're always doing things for the community, and you can do all of that through the for profit business. But usually you set up, after a while you set up your own foundation, your own nonprofit. But so you have to decide what you're going to do, what type of programs you're going to operate out of your food service. I've seen restaurants develop um, culinary programs for, let's say, underprivileged, underserved individuals, giving them that culinary skill. And it's a separate program that they operate out, when you set aside time to help individuals up under their restaurant umbrella. That's their give back. And I always advise clients to, when you start your business, have your give back in mind, because your give back will take you places that your for profit just won't take you. I promise you it will. Um, but anyway, I don't want to get off into that yet. I am a limited my business. I did form my mini donut business as a LLC. A sole proprietor is just that. It's just you. It's just your name. Like my name is Cheryl Sally. Cheryl Sally doing business as Annie B's Mini Donuts, right? It's just you. You have insurance. You're claiming your taxes are structured just with your 1040 tax return as normal, but you put in all the business. You might have a Schedule C on there for all of your business income. I'm not a tax preparer, nor am I a CPA or an accountant, but I know a lot because I've worked 9 years in that environment. So I know a lot, but I advise clients to get the expert in that area. That's not my area, but I know enough to tell you what a sole proprietorship is. It's just a single entity. Now, partnership, it is what it says. It's two or more people that develop a partnership, which usually if it's more than two, you're going to go on into the limited liability. Now, the limited liability company, that's just it. It limits the liability, particularly that you will feel towards you as a person. Unlike the sole proprietorship, your name is responsible and liable for everything that happens with the business operations. With the limited liability company, that separates me, the person Cheryl, from my business, Annie B's Mini Donuts. The Annie B's Mini Donuts is a separate entity, right? So if anything was to happen, then Annie B's Donuts would be responsible, and that goes into the requirement for insurance, so on and so forth. um, Business insurance, and the corporation, nonprofit, those are the other structures. When you grow, you become larger, and you're scaling, and so on and so forth, you may decide to become a small with the S corporation, C corporation. Those are your major businesses. Hey, smile. That is me. So that's when I first started at my very first event here in South Carolina in another town. That was my grandson, and you can see I did my menus and I did my logo and all of that, and I got that first gig, and I just plastered those things on the truck, and it wasn't where it is now, which I'll share with you in a few minutes, but there has to be a beginning, right? And I've heard this a lot, that you have to launch. You may not be already, all the way together, but you have to have a baseline of things together now. You have to have some sort of look, so to speak, some level of branding done. You can't just and I'm just gonna be who I am. You just can't come out looking any old kind of way. That's basically it. But there has to be a beginning, and so that you can start. Once you crank the car up and the wheels start going, unless you just put on brakes and just stop and jump out the car, it's going to keep moving if you keep working on it. So start. Okay. So this was my beginning, me and my grandson. One of the first things that you're going to do once you're going to come up with the branding, you're going to come up with the name. And I have a checklist, and you can register your name if you choose to do, excuse me, an LLC in the state of South Carolina. You can reserve just that name. I think the charge may be 25 bucks. And I think I did do that first before I incorporated, because I did not want anybody to take my name. Right. And there's some other ways to protect your brand with trademarks. You can get a state trademark, or I know in South Carolina you can get a state trademark, and you can get your nationwide state trademark, so that no one else can use your brand, and so on and so forth. Just like you can't use the golden arches from McDonald's. So that's what the trademark. But you want to register. You can register your name, and you have to see. I'm in South Carolina, so I know I can just register the name. Then later on, when I'm closer to actually launching, I can go ahead and get the limited liability corporation registered in the state. But I try to things that I can hold off on, because it costs to do that. Things that I can hold off on for money wise, I'll wait until maybe 30 days before, or 60 days before, probably between that 30 and 60-day mark. Then I'll wait to expend money, because after I've gotten the money. Right now we're in the planning stages, but you need to see who you need to go to, and I'm gonna get into all of that for to register your business name if that's what you're gonna do. Choose a good name, because you're naming the baby, right? So name the baby, and I can't tell you what to do, and you can name it what you want to name it, but I would name a lot. This is what I used to do back in the day when I had businesses. I would say, see how the name sounds when I answer the phone as a business. Hello, Annie B's Mini Donuts. This is Cheryl. So you want to come up with a good name that it could be personal. It doesn't have to be personal. It could be a regular business name, but a simple, unique name. You don't want a long name, because you got to be saying it all the time, and answering the phone with it, doing putting it on documents and registering it, so on and so forth. But do a name that you can grow with. Sometimes the brand changes, sometimes the name changes, and that does happen a lot. But that it's your baby, it's your identity. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Because that's more personal than not. But look at the other names. Here again, look at what companies who you aspire to be like. Look what they're doing. Look how they're naming their businesses. You're going to be different, yes. So your name is going to be unique, yes. But you don't want it to be too far out there. You want it to be professional for sure. A name that really represents excellence and quality, and so on and so forth. Um, Obtaining the necessary business licensings and permits with South Carolina, and usually with every state, you have to, that's on the next slide, but with South Carolina, we have to get the sales and use tax license for anything that you sell, do retail and wholesale. If you're a service company, that's different. That's just the business, business license, and then maybe some other specialty licenses. But for this, you within South Carolina, you need the sales and use tax license that gives you your retail tax ID number, which doing business with certain organizations or entity, like I do business with the city, I do business with the military, and they want to see, and other organizations want to see those licenses, copies of those licenses, as well as insurance and things like that. And in South Carolina, they will check if I have been located on site, like at Sam's Club in Northeast Columbia, and all of those entities have come to check to see if I had my licenses, if I had my South the Department of and so Department of Revenue agent came to check if I had my retail license. If you don't have it and you're selling items, I don't care what it is, they will shut you down. The county came out to see if I had my county license, as well as Department of Health and Environmental Control, which is on this next slide here, to make sure that I did not have to go through other compliance requirements in order to have my mini donut truck out. Excuse me, and it didn't. So, and they were standing in line, just those authorities, they were standing in line just like the customers waiting to be served. They come up to the window and I'm like, hello, how are you? How can I help you? And like, okay, I'm here from, I'm the inspector, making sure that just need to take a look at your license. And which I just do donuts, so it is exempt from inspection as of right now through DHEC, but most food services, most all that I know of, excuse me, require inspection, and they require certain, equipment and fire systems and air systems and so on and so forth. And I am going to have that guide, get your food. I'm gonna give you the link to that guide, and the where you can download, you can go to the site, because that is, if you're in the food service, going into food service, and if you have a full food truck, not just desserts, because most desserts may be exempt. There is a list showing everything that's exempt from being inspected. You still have to have certain things in place, like the fire marshal and so on and so forth. If you get a business license, then, excuse me, usually the fire marshal will make sure that that food truck, it passes inspection from a fire, standpoint. But anyway, I will have the link and a downloadable copy of the other guide, the cottage law. What I come up under is South Carolina cottage exemption. But that's, about DHEC, and Serve Safe is a nationwide certificate that I had to go through before I could be on the military base. And it is required for those food handlers, food managers, and Serve Safe is coming out with some other things here shortly. So I advise you to stay up to date on the regulations. Always stay up to date on the regulations. Um, and most of those regulations, DHEC is changing right now as we speak. I just saw this today, actually, when I was finishing up this presentation. They have there will be a temporary pause in accepting retail food establishment applications from June 24th to July 1st. So that almost 2-week period, you won't be able to apply for for a retail food establishment, but during that time frame. But you can submit applications before that time frame, or after that, or after July 1st. They're making some changes. They're separating, where there are two separate agencies, South Carolina Department of Environmental Services and Public Health, South Carolina Public Health. So, and the retail food program and milk and dairy lab is going to merge with South Carolina Department of Agriculture. So that's what's coming on board in South Carolina. You need to see what's coming on board in your state, and with those your entities, your governmental entities. Make sure you know what's coming on board. Okay, let me, excuse me, make sure that I am sharing here. Let's see. I'm gonna stop for a minute. Let me go back. Make sure that you can see everything here. All righty. Go back to my share. Bear with me for a minute because this is going to be the end of this first part, though. So that, hold on just a second. Here we go. I'm going to take a little break and there we go. I think I am back on. Yeah, we're going to take a little break before I get to the next part. I mean, probably after the slide, and then you'll go into the second module. And there'll probably be about three or four modules here. But what I want you to do is absorb everything that I've said in the past couple of slides. Go ahead and start researching now. You know, if you haven't already, the breaks that I take in between these slides, those are the breaks for you to stop and do some of the things that I've talked about on the previous slides. So far as I talked about your vision, I talked about the products, I talked about how you're going to research the marketplace if you don't already know. Now's the time for you to find out who else is doing, who else is providing food services. A lot of the restaurants are starting to do food trucks. Yes, they are. A lot of franchise brand restaurants are starting to do food trucks, which is okay. There is enough out here for everybody. There's still not enough food trucks to supply the need for good food. And the key word here is good food. So we're going to talk about that a little later on. But go ahead and start researching who else is in your area, in your state, providing food services via a food truck or trailer. Um, Make a list of them. You can find them online. You can find most of them. Most of the ones, all of the ones that I know are on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. You know, that's one of the major marketing. Everybody that I meet that wants to follow my truck and that do follow my truck, the first thing they ask me is, are you on Facebook? That's how they follow you. I'll send them to my website because I am, which is bad, and I'm transparent, but it's bad. Don't do this, what I'm about to tell you, okay? Which is making sure that you are keeping your website and all of your online presence up to date. Please make sure you're doing that. Please make sure you're keeping all of your social media platforms up to date, particularly with your schedule, right? Where you're going to be, when you're going to be, and so the time and all of that, because your customers, that's what they depend on to find you. Okay. So that's very, 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 very important. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the marketing part of this, but opening a bank account, everything that you spend, everything you spend, every penny coming that you spend on, doesn't matter what it is, but it should be it should go through your business checking account, right? And then go through your business accounting system. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Keep your personal and your business finances separate. Okay. Talk to the bankers, talk to them, starting with who you do business with now. See if they do business banking. If not, find a good bank. I personally love the credit unions that do business banking. They're very personable. Some of the, the other banks, they're good too. That's just me. But the banks offer a lot of assistance, whether it's a credit union or your mainstream banks or the smaller community banks. They do offer assistance for small businesses as well. Your job is to meet the business banker, okay? So if you don't know the business banker, if you just going in making deposits and withdrawals and you don't know the people in there, this week, whenever you are watching this video, with this taking this course, watching this webinar, this week I want you to know, the business banker by name, and I want him to know you, the manager. Okay? Business oftentimes is about relationships. So know your banker. Every now and then you go in and you talk to them. You sit down and you talk to them. That's what I did. That's what I did. And they got me alone. You know, you don't necessarily need it now. You may not need it now, but you need to know who the banker is, and they need to know you. Okay, all right, I digress. Let me get back. Set up your business checking account. I already said that. If you can do a savings, you can set that up. As businesses, what I've seen over the years is businesses, they'll have at least 2 or 3 checking accounts. One may be just for the general business operating account, and another one may be for the taxes and payroll, right? So at least those 2, but you may not set those 2 up right away, but you definitely need the business checking account and setting up that accounting system. This was one of the first, we're going into brand, and I'm gonna stop right here, but this was one of the menu, one of my first menus. They have changed, they have evolved as I get feedback, as I observe what the customers are liking, what they're not buying. I changed it because there's no need, particularly food, right? Some people, there's no need for me, especially small businesses. Um, there's no need for me to keep, certain, like the banana cream delight, the banana pudding. It tastes just like banana pudding, but you know how quickly bananas go bad, right? So some products, there's no need for you to have them. Customers aren't doing, you're not out every day, and I wasn't out every day. I was just out 3 days a week. And that's how I am now. It's 3 days a week. So, and then sometimes it's 2 days. Well, those other 5 days, then those things may perish. And so I just took those things off that were not popular. But my point with this is I did my logo on this platform called Fiverr, Fiverr.com. And I'm gonna give you those um, platforms that I use to create, brand and things like that. I told the lady what, and it was a young lady that created the brand. I've gotten most of my branded material, a lot of my logos and stuff created on Fiverr. They started back. I was a realtor. It's not too much I haven't done. I was a realtor back in 2015 with Keller Williams Realty, and one of my mentors there at Keller Williams told me about Fiverr, and she was saying that, you're a realtor. We provide this umbrella, but you need to have your own identity, and this is a very inexpensive way to do it. So your thing is to make sure that coming out that you look professional, that I have my website, I have my own info at anniebeesminidonuts.com. The flyer that I put, it's a menu on the truck. Actually, I hand it out because potential, corporate accounts or others who want to do business with you, maybe schools and things, they will come up to the truck and ask for a flyer. So I made sure I had a good looking one there, and I did the flyer myself, right? I had my logo created on Fiverr. I did my flyer on Canva, and I did my website. I do my own website. I do a lot of websites for clients and individuals. I do a lot of, other marketing material, and that may not be the best, but it looks good. Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah, tell the truth, it does. I'll show you my website too, but I want to stop right here, and we're going to pick up, go ahead and start working on some of the things that we've discussed. Go back and listen again. Put your questions in there. You send me your questions. I'm gonna stop right here. Any questions that you have, send them to me. And we're gonna get ready for the next session, the next module. Forgive my voice, it's really it sounds terrible to me, but just forgive it. Please forgive it. The next one's gonna sound like that too, because I'm gonna do these modules, probably try to get them all done at one time. So, but go ahead and please get started. Please get started. You should have downloaded the checklist already. If you haven't, go ahead and download that and use that to start doing some of your research. Have any questions, just ask. Always just ask. I am here for you. See you in the next module.